My name is Stuart Sharp. I'm the Vice President of Product for the OneLogin platform, part of OneIdentity. IDaaS is a tool that was developed in response to the growth and market adoption of software as a service. So it definitely followed on from starting about in, I think, the late 90s, particularly with Salesforce. And a need was seen to try and help manage identity to accompany that rapid adoption and growth in software as a service, hence why you get identity as a service. It's so very much a tool to support the growth of SaaS. The drivers for SaaS are very much the same as drivers for IDaaS because it's about efficiency, it's about speed of innovation and adoption. And so even though IDaaS is secondary to SaaS, i.e. it's a tool to support SaaS, it in itself carries many of the same characteristics. So how can you manage large numbers of users in a very cost-effective manner? The benefits of identity as a service are going right back to the basics. You're not managing and looking after your own infrastructure, which is complex and costly. You are looking for ways to be more efficient in the management of your identities altogether. And very importantly, you are looking for a way to secure those identities. In the early years, around 2010 and onwards, there was a real concern about, is it safe to have identities, users in the cloud? And IDaaS is that primary tool to help secure those identities in the cloud. Well, there are organizations that are born in the cloud. Maybe they just started in the last few years and they have nothing on-premise. IDaaS is perfect for them. That's great. All of their applications are SaaS or cloud hosted, and then the IDaaS makes most sense, right? But the majority of organizations, whether it's large-scale enterprises or even smaller businesses, have varying degrees of on-premise footprint. Now, one of the good things about IDaaS is it was designed to plug into existing identity and access management infrastructure. So it's very good at plugging into your existing Active Directory or LDAP and automatically allowing your users to authenticate to cloud applications using the same username, password, the same identity that they are used to logging into, not just on-premise applications, but even their laptop, the desktop itself. So one of the defining characteristics of OneLogin, which by the way was one of the original IDaaSs, it was initially, I think that it first went live in 2010. So absolutely at the beginning of the concept of IDaaS. And the principles of OneLogin are very much aligned with SaaS. You need to be efficient. You need to give both users and administrators a good experience, because complexity can be not only the enemy of efficiency and cost effectiveness, it can also be the enemy of security. When you have too much complexity, layer upon layer of configuration, it's hard to be deterministic about what is happening, or determining what the behavior will be. So OneLogin, first of all, has a very large portfolio of what we call out-of-the-box connectors, kind of plug and play. Just copy, enter about 3 or 4 fields of information to actually connect to Salesforce or Zoom or Office 365, whatever tool that you need to integrate with, and you're off and running. So there is the administrative efficiency. It's a modern tool, so it gives the user that SaaS feel that they want. It's designed for mobile use, because of course we're always logging in and particularly authenticating with our mobile. So we have a OneLogin Protect MFA mobile app, for example, that supports push notifications and things like that. And there's administrative efficiency, there's user experience. Now, the other thing about OneLogin is it is designed to plug into your existing identity infrastructure. And there's a good reason for that. Because part of the driver of IDaaS is not just to support existing SaaS, it's to support that cloud transformation, that digital adoption, and to not only make it possible or easy, but actually to make it faster, to actually help companies accelerate so they can onboard new SaaS applications faster than they ever thought possible. A great example of that is one of our large enterprise customers. I signed up with OneLogin about 7 years ago because it was taking them 2 to 3 months to onboard a single application. Their aim was to be able to onboard a SaaS application in 2 weeks. Well, now they're down to less than 2 days, and their aim is to see how soon they can actually get it down to 2 hours to onboard an entirely new cloud application. I mentioned earlier that part of the benefit of SaaS is about being able to take advantage of innovation. Because you're not creating the new functionality as a customer, you're not deploying patches and updates, it's all done by the SaaS provider, or in our case, the IDaaS provider. The other thing, though, is that in the whole cloud adoption environment overall, there's a lot of innovation. You hear a lot about machine learning. So we have machine learning embedded in our risk engine to identify risky access attempts for your applications. But there are also new apps being developed, ways of doing things like proving your identity, using AI to perform a liveness test. Is this a real person? And they do things like flashing lights and colors in your face and see how your face reacts. Very hard to imitate that without it being a real person in front of the camera on your phone or your laptop. Now, we don't build those particular products yet, but there are lots of scrappy startups out there that do. But we allow you to plug in any third-party authentication that supports standards to introduce that into your environment if you want to. We call it Bring Your Own MFA. We support passwordless. We were one of the very first providers of a passwordless authentication experience for end users. So we have a wide range of authentication options. And the reason why it's important to have a wide range is because it's not just about providing the most secure authentication experience possible. Yes, we do support that, FIDO2 tokens and all the best security practices out there today. But when you have a broad range of users, because OneLogin doesn't differentiate, you can support your employees, your office workers, your remote workers. Maybe they're your truck drivers, or even your store workers on the shop floor or in the warehouse, your partners, and also your customers. All of those identities you can secure and manage within OneLogin. When you have such diverse range of user base, where you may not have any say over what kind of device they have, you don't know if they have a mobile phone, you can't insist on that. You need to have the right tools for the right users. So we support such a wide range of authentication options so you can apply the right authentication policy in the right context. When you're an existing organization, and like I said earlier, you'll most likely have a hybrid environment, or maybe even are predominantly on-premise company so far. But 9 out of 10 of you are going to have already launched or considering launching a serious data transformation project. And you need to start migrating applications to the cloud, particularly from on-prem to SaaS applications. Now, I've been around long enough to know that when you work in complex environments, rip and replace is a recipe for failure. That's not what you need. What you want to do is leave the existing infrastructure in place, plug into it so that your focus and your innovation is in adopting those SaaS applications, migrating the users over to that new format of delivering business efficiency and meeting your business's objectives. After all, Even IDaaS is just a tool to support SaaS use, and SaaS applications is just a way to deliver tools for the organizations to be successful. So saying that, what you really want to aim at is that initial use case, going live with that very first application with your first set of users. That can be done in literally a matter of weeks. Focus on taking that first step, because once you've done that, everything is in place and you can just add application after application, new user sets, and it just starts to accelerate. We have customers who will start off with 4 or 5 applications, but within the first year they would have migrated 200 applications, and after a couple of years they're 500 plus applications, all integrated with OneLogin to authenticate users across, not, like I said before, not just their employee base, but customers, partners, and remote workers as well. I think one of the great use cases that we've seen with OneLogin is where customers may already have an existing IDaaS, but they're struggling to make use of it for certain use cases, or there may be internal or bureaucratic reasons why they can't extend their existing IDaaS to meet another use case. OneLogin is so easy to deploy and to get up and running. We have customers who will use us for just a single business case. It can be a different business unit, or it can be a different user group. So for example, if you've got an existing IDaaS for employees and you want to start to provide something in a kind of B2B context for your partners, you can deploy a OneLogin instance and plug it into your existing on-prem or cloud identity service. So be innovative when you think about how can you meet your requirements, meet your needs for efficiency and security when it comes to identity in the cloud, and realize it's very easy to deploy OneLogin and get it up and running and meeting your objectives.